2 months after the death of Gwen Araujo, the school district and Newark City officials held a community forum at the high school.
An opportunity for useful dialogue on issues that
Still haunted by the brutal killing, residents expressed horror in the young men's violent reaction and in the silence by those at the party who didn't intervene.
It makes my skin crawl, and it brings me to tears that our community produced that kind of behavior.
Others were frustrated with local leaders for not being more public in their response to the crime.
When I heard the mayor say that Gwen's murder was an exception, that Newark is really a tolerant community, I must differ.
They act like the terrorizing of gay kids and whatnot was a new thing. They act like it never...
In addition to safety concerns, some voiced uneasiness with Gwen's transgender identity.
However, the wrong message is that Eddie's death was a hate crime. The real message, I believe, is that we as parents need to educate our children and about the dangers of deceiving others.
This is not something they teach you at mayor's school. You do not learn how to deal with these types of tragedies and these types of events. But I think we're trying to get answers. We're trying to make this a better community.
And Newark, I think, in its heart, maybe wanted to be a great place. Many of the officials wanted to respond, but I don't think they knew how to respond. And I wanted people to face the fact that they had to own a part of that, just like I felt like I owned a part of it. Hi, this is Pat Skillen. May I please speak to Paul Clifford?
Pat Skillen is the mother of a gay son and a member of the local chapter of PFLAG, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Skillen and a group of Newark citizens began meeting together after Gwen's death.
I never want a kid to quit school because they're afraid to go to school, but we don't have any more agenda.
The group chose as its name Not in Newark.
It's part of who they are, it's part of their personality, and they're stuck with it.
One of the first issues they tackled was the hardship Gwen and other students like her face in the schools.
She had no desire to go to school. They would throw rocks at her, they'd chase her home, threaten to beat her up. They did beat her up. I mean, and no kid should suffer that.
We didn't want to have this ever happen again. We wanted to give people tools to be able to handle situations and to feel comfortable in their own community.
Members of Not in Newark joined parents in urging the schools to ensure the safety of all students. The new superintendent of schools says he is listening.
When something like this happens, school districts have the responsibility of stepping up. And if you don't take the responsibility, if you don't provide the leadership, for many people, silence gives consent.
As Newark continued to grapple with what steps to take in the aftermath of Gwen's death, 3 of the young men accused of her killing went to trial. The district attorney asked the jury to convict all 3 defendants of first-degree murder with a hate crime enhancement.
These men chose to take away human life. They chose gratuitously to exercise the power of life or death.
Because I think if you listen or think back on some of the things...
One of the defense attorneys argued his client had turned violent in a heat of passion. He asked the jury to consider a lesser charge of manslaughter for his client's reaction to what he called sexual deception.
His masculinity was very important to him and didn't know how to deal with the fact that he had suddenly learned that he'd had sex with a man thinking it was a woman. If you are going to engage in sexual conduct, you should be upfront about who you are. And don't take away from that heterosexual male the right to make his choice, because that's what happened here.
After 9 days of deliberation, the jury was deadlocked.
I will now declare a mistrial.
Today, the jury failed to reach a verdict. The idea that anyone would think that they had the right to kill Gwen because of her sexual identity was reprehensible, and it was mystifying.
The district attorney pledged to try the defendants again for murder. But for the transgender community and supporters, the mistrial signaled deep flaws in the legal system and its treatment of transgender victims.
Had she been a biological female, justice would have been served. I will do whatever it takes to get justice for Gwen and in turn, the transgender, gay, lesbian community. We will. Together.
It had been almost 2 years since Gwen Araujo's death, and the work of concerned residents was capturing the attention of Newark City leaders.
We realized that if anything was going to be accomplished, you'd have to take and involve the primary city government.
The cast of the Laramie Project and the members of Not in Newark appealed to the city council and the mayor.
After my experience with the Laramie Project and Gwen's murder, I was shocked to learn I lived in a community where a child could be murdered because of who or what she was.
The group urged the council to pass a stronger non-discrimination policy.
We recommend that the City Council issue a statement encouraging and supporting the school district in its efforts to fully comply with California's School Safety and Violence Prevention Act of 2000.
After months of collaboration, the city adopted the recommendation.
You're our leaders. A few years from now, you'll run against us and kick us out of office.
One of the highest priorities a city has is protecting its citizens. And that's what it all boils down to for us, at least initially, was our concern was we want our citizens, whoever they are, to feel safe in our community.
Thank you all, and we'll be working with you hand in hand.
But a group of officials wanted to send a more personal sign of support to residents of the town who may have felt unsafe. A local band featuring the police captain, the mayor, and other city employees spent a Saturday evening entertaining at the annual dinner of PFLAG, parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays.
We're going to feature our Assistant City Manager, Jim Reese.
Starry, starry night. For the longest time, I think it was okay that people say, well, you know, we need to promote tolerance. What a lot of people have to get past, that no, you don't tolerate people, you accept them.
The evening turned into a celebration of people who most likely wouldn't have come together a few years before.
This community is opening up more. It's becoming gradually more accepting and more open, eliminating fears, eliminating anxieties. That's what it's about.
Get ready, squeeze in! Big child,
My hope is that no town ever has this kind of tragedy, but I would be naive if I thought it will never happen again. And if it should ever happen in another town, that town has to be willing to take and accept responsibility.
There's something to be gotten from it is that everyone had to confront their own feelings about their unsureness when it comes to issues like gender and power and motive and what's acceptable and what isn't. I mean, I certainly did.
Justice!
Every month, a transgender person is killed in this country. And publicly speaking out against such violence and discrimination has become Gwen's family's mission.
Out of her tragedy, I want to bring something positive in her memory. It does help to know that some people are learning and listening, and there is changes occurring.